Hello friends, I'm Avinash. Today we are going to discuss how to create VM using GCP. Although we covered this in the yesterday's session, but somehow the video didn't was not able to capture the screen I was sharing. So I'm redoing the same video along with the creating VM using Linux server as well. Yesterday focus was only on Windows server. Today I'm going to include how to create the VM instance using Linux as well. Uh, so friends, let's continue. So the first thing, as you can see, you need to register yourself on the Google Cloud. It's a free registration, but it will require your payment details. And it gives you $300 credit, which is available for 90 days or 3 months. Uh, so yeah, friends, so you have to be a bit careful when you create machines. Like as we will see in the billing history, like it shows you how much it cost on the top on a monthly basis. So if you're not careful, you will end up all your free credit, and then you have to pay money to get more credit um, to try out the session in EP. But yeah, definitely we will show you how to create and how to delete them. This will be our focus. On Windows, we will also try to configure the IIS. On Linux, we'll just create the VM instance. So that's today's focus. And we are just focusing on the vanilla instance, not going deep, deep dive by selecting, various type of networks or various type of settings. So just purely creating a vanilla instance for Windows and Linux. So friend, before we start, I'm already registered on the GCP, so I can just click link. If I click this link here, and then it will straight take me to the Google Cloud platform. And if you're not registered, then it will ask you to register the details and ask for the payment details. So if you're already registered, then you need to enter your credit card details. If you're already on GPay, it will basically detect it and set up the payment details of the GPay or Google Pay, which is very simple. So I'm not going into those details because it's just very self-explanatory. Anyone can understand what is required. But the most important thing is once the account is created, you need to log out, close all the screen, log in again. And then on the top hand side, where I'm just pointing the mouse, is somewhere above, it will ask you to activate the account. Yeah, that's very much required. Otherwise, it will not let you do anything. So don't forget to close all the screen, log in again with your details, and then it will activate it. And then once it is activated, then you can do other actions in the GCP. This is the dashboard. So also it will time to time, whenever any service is not activated, the Google will ask you to enable it, and which will automatically prompt. And then by default, we will expect you to enable it. But at the same time, we will also advise you to refer to the documentation in case if you have any confusion, like why I should enable it. But definitely we will be covering all those things in the later sessions. Today we are just focusing on the vanilla instance. So let's start. So everything in GCP starts with the project. Project is sort of like a boundary where or the you can, in another word, it is like a scope. Anything you create, it stays within that project, and you can create several, projects. So if you have a HR project running or finance project running, you can configure them separately. They can have a separate kind of network and all separate kind of privilege. So that's how the project define the boundary around it. Whatever is required for that particular project will stay within that project. If you have another project, then you can basically have to configure all the attributes again. But as I said, we will be just focusing on the vanilla instance, so we'll just see how the project is. I created, like, if I go here, this is the list of the project. I will probably use the existing project because with the free version, for the free credit, I'm only allowed to create certain number of projects. So therefore, but it's very easy to create a new project. Just click on the new project and then follow the advice, like how the name should be given. And then the project will have given the name, and then it will also have the ID. You can see the number, and it makes it unique across the GCP. So it don't conflict with other project in GCP. Because it's quite possible, like you're also giving the same name as someone else in across the globe, but they definitely their ID will be different from the whatever the ID have been assigned. Okay, let's test project demo. This is the status. It's a dashboard. So it's all general stuff. Getting started. Yeah, don't worry about this. We'll be covering all these topics in the following sessions. So today we're just going to create a VM instance. So first what we do, like we go on these three lines on the top here, click it, and then go to compute engine. And if you have any confusion, like you can't find it somehow, it's sometimes it's sort of illusion. We can't see something in front of us. Then you can always search from here, computing. And then I click compute engine. As you can see, I have no VM instance created here. The reason is, like, as soon as I try something, I delete them. Otherwise, if I keep them, it's a price I have to pay to keep them active in GCP. It's best if I'm not running any active project for training or something, then it's better that particular VM I want practicing, and I can delete it as soon as I try out different things. Okay, so the first thing is we click on create instance. As you can see, you will be presented with a few options here on the right hand side when we were talking about how much it will cost. As you can see, it's written here 25 with the default setting, whatever I have here. The name is permanent. So as you can see, it should start with the lowercase and followed by 62 lowercase letters, number or hyphen, and cannot end with a hyphen. So there are some rules you have to follow. Let's test this machine. Test Windows 1. Can add some labels. It's basically similar to Jira if you have worked on Jira. So it's kind of like a filter you're creating to find that machine easy. So they act as more like a filter where we can just set up a filter. I want like all machine where you can enter name, test, Windows 1, owner, Avinash, department. Oh, it's something similar to this. Like we have added three, so it's an optional value. But what it will do, it can easily, I can search now using the label with the name. If I want to see how many machine does Avinash own, or how many machine does a department home own, it will easily give me, um, you know, this machine back when I'm searching through these filters. But definitely we'll cover this in a later session, like how if we have multiple machine, how do we find them? How do we really, because in an enterprise environment, talking about thousands of VM available and thousands of different projects, and how we find those machines is another task, because right now we're just dealing with one or two, so we don't see that urgent need. But definitely these labels help when searching for those. Okay, regarding region is permanent, means like once you set the region on the machine, cannot change it. If you wanted to create in a different region, you create another machine in the different region by selecting the region. And if you don't need this machine, you can easily delete it. And you can import this machine to the different region. But you cannot, once it's selected, you cannot go and update the region on this machine. So that's why it's written permanent here. Okay, so if you go to the GCP site and look for what services are available in the region wise, or then you probably will see the maximum number of services that are available in US compared to Europe and Asia. So this is why, although it does not make any difference for right now for us, because we are dealing with the vanilla instance, but depending on your needs, you may have to consider which region you have to select going forward in the future. But so right now, just select USD South Carolina. And there are 3 zones available, but we're not worried about. We can just say C. General purpose, computer oriented, memory optimized. The 3 options available. We may cover this in the later session again. As I said, like just dealing with the vanilla instance. I'll just say general purpose, Series G2. Again, just keep it, and then we keep the minimum 2 GB memory. And confidential VM service container. If you want to learn more about this, you can click this link and know more about it. Now, what kind of as we're going to just create a Windows machine, so we need to change this as well. Okay, so we say operating system, Windows. Okay, so then you can see there are several options available. And what we want is with the something similar like a Windows normally work on, not with the command prompt where all the professionals prefer to, because they only want the lightweight Windows. They are happy to enter all the commands using the command prompt. So it saves on memory and it increases the performance. So no memory is wasted on the GUI side. But In our case, we'll just select the one with the desktop experience so that we can see, we can log in and see what is inside the box. Just a brief display of the machine. Let's select this, leave everything as by default. There are several options, but we're not going to touch them today. And firewall, if you want like a firewall allow HTTP traffic, click it on yes. And you will for this instance, the monthly estimate is create. So friends, now the first machine is getting created. I'm really excited. As you can see, it has got the external IP assigned. Let's copy this external IP somewhere. Copy to clipboard. And you can see what is inside the machine. As you can see, like is by default, it has set up the RDP, which if you don't see the RDP being set by default, what you can do is you can edit it. And you can use update the network interface. You can do it from here, which is a little complicated. So best is you search for the firewall. You can go from here, firewall rules. You can see like HTTP, ICMP, RDP all allowed. If it's not enabled, then you can go, RDP is not enabled, then you can search for the firewall. Firewall. And you can create the new firewall rule. Or you can basically edit this one. And then in the port number, TCP port number, you can just put 3389 for the RDP. So this is how you can configure the different port if it's not enabled. But it should be the default port number, not like a custom port number. Otherwise, the GP will not work. Right? You won't be able to RDP. Like for example, if you have a custom port defined for RDP and you're trying to connect using the global IP address from your local machine, it will not work because it will require further firewall changes on your machine and on a particular GCP. And I'm afraid I have no idea how to do that. But if I'll find this, I will definitely bring this in our later session. Right now, my understanding is it is not possible, but I may be wrong. Uh, but for the timing, you can follow up. If the RDP is not enabled, you can just go ahead and put, add that 33894 to the, or you can create the new firewall, or you can add it to the existing TCP protocol, because uh, rather having three different, we could have done it in one as well, comma separated. Okay, let's go back to our machine and see if we can connect it. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is that we need to set the password for the Windows. So here you will be seeing the password. So if I click that, it will just pick up my whatever my Google ID is, and then set. It will automatically generate one password for me, which I can definitely change later. I'll show you how to change the password. Friends, sometime, yeah, it may take 1 or 2 minutes when performing any action. Have to be patient. Okay, so we just created the machine recently, so okay, let's try again. Okay, so bingo. Here we got our password. Okay, and close it. And now we are going to do the RDP. Download the RDP file. Click here. We copied the password, and then this was the global IP address. So it will prompt you with the certificate. We just click yes, and now it's trying to connect. Hope you can see this machine here. Setting up the machine. I was very excited when it did for the first time. I'm not making full screen just because so that we can see everything in the background. If the same thing happened with me yesterday and I missed out a lot of things in the video. We just close this. Yes, we are talking about we change the password to something we can remember. Comp management. Computer management. Okay, local user and users, default user, and if we right click it, set password. Okay, so whatever we remember, your choice. I'm putting something which I can remember easily, and I have set the password now. And if I disconnect this from this machine, and then go to downloads. Now this time I will enter my new password. See, successfully log in with the new password and successfully connected to the machine as well. I hope you guys are clear now. Okay, you need to set up the password. The normal policy will get applied every 3 months or 6 months. You may have to change the password, but you can always go ahead and change the setting, the requirement. Now what we'll do, we discussed about doing something on the server, which we can access it from a local machine. So the best thing we can do is like configure an IS server. In my previous videos, I've already covered that, but I will just quickly go ahead and click buttons without further explanation. Uh, as you can see, we are just going to select the IS here, add feature, next, next, next. Everything by default, nothing. Okay, so it's getting installed. It takes even in the last video, you see it, it takes around a minute to. As you can see here, this is our global IP. And if I go here and say HTTP, so we already enabled the HTTP protocol. Let's see if the server is ready. It takes a few minutes. Not ready yet. It will be ready soon. Site cannot be reached. That's expected. Trying. I think once it reaches to the half, then it probably I should be able to ping it, although it has to complete some background activities. But finger crossed. Then after we finish showing this, we will just, I'll show you how to delete the instance so that it don't cost you money. Now you guys probably coming out, more for training session here. If anybody is watching it, is people mostly doing training. Okay, so as we discussed, let's try now half. I'm sure it will show up this time. Show me the page. No. Let's try one more time. Right, I've been done. You have to wait for 1 more minute. Keep refreshing. Here you go. So server is up now. Okay, so this is all I wanted to show on the Windows one today. And just wait for it to complete. We don't care because we need to. Yeah, we just let's close this, shut down the machine. Normal Windows stuff. Can even close. Now if we go back to the VM, as I said, I was saying how to delete it. So it's very easy. Say delete. And your Windows machine is delete. Identity. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's literally, so you can see instance deleted, or you can, go to the, these are all my three. Test Windows 1, delete, create. Okay, now we'll quickly browse through how to create the Linux machine and use. We'll not go into too much details here. We'll be just focusing on creating a VM. In the session tomorrow, I will try to cover what more on Linux instance, like configuring the Apache server and do a few more things. But today we'll just focus on just creating a Linux instance. Okay, friends, let's start. Create instance. Name we already covered, test Linux. Yeah, friends, I think this is also something quite common. If we ask you what is Linux, the quite common answer is it's an operating system. Um, oh, well, yes and no, but it's more like a kernel. And using this kernel, it's a lot of Linux-based operating system being built. Like you have Su Linux, Red Hat Linux, Ubuntu, even Android is based on Linux kernel. So Linux is basically a kernel, not an operating system. This is a very important thing I learned today. Again, we add label, name, test, Linux 1. Just add one label. Same, South Carolina, any zone, general purpose, 4 GB enough. Debian change. We go for Ubuntu, and then we go for the but then we don't have to go for the minimal image because those are more for the professional and require more. But these are more focused on running like sort of like an enterprise application where you just want to keep the operating system to core minimum. And these ones are more for like the user where they have extra features available. Extra resources are libraries are installed. So we'll go for this one. Whatever is default, we select it. Allow HTTP traffic. And we create. And here we go. So it's pretty quick. So Linux machine, we will be connecting by SSH. You can see it will be connected by SSH. This is a public IP address. Let's see the detail. If SSH is enabled, we can check the firewall rule. SSH is already enabled here. If you want to, check it on the firewall. The TCP/22 protocol. If it's not there, we can go back to the how we configure the firewall on the TCP, the HTTP side. You can just /22. The machine is ready now. We'll be just today trying to connect it. Let's see if I can connect using this. Will not be running any command. We just connect. Bingo. Here you go. You can run a few commands, list, working directory, and go back. Now list, cd Ubuntu, all empty, whatever you want to put it in here. Can run a few commands, but we will do it in the tomorrow session. So thanks, friend. Thanks for listening to me. I hope you liked the session today. Thanks, you.